Hello everyone and welcome to the Armband. Today Kieran and I are back to preview game week 12 already. Kieran, probably the worst game week of the season has just passed. How are you feeling?
I've blanked it out. I'm trying to move on and not remember it at all.
Yeah, it was absolutely, I mean, worse for you than me, but it was absolutely woeful. It was so bad. Right, let's just get the points out of the way, I saw lack of points out of the way. Well, do you want to talk about your game week first? I can't remember what decisions you had to make going into it. Oh,
What did I do? I did your doggy to Simicast.
oh yeah.
Um, I was regretting selling your doggy because past the deadline. I think on the like Saturday, maybe Sunday. Like there was rumors like he's good to go. He'll be
Hmm.
ready to play, and I was just like, oh, for God's sake, because we didn't have anything on the
Yeah.
Saturday morning on him, so I just sold the injured player. Yeah, was bought in Simicast. Wasn't expecting the benching, I guess. And yeah, there's not much else to say other than my team, everyone blanked. So yeah, move on.
It's just
Yeah.
absolutely. I feel like I was so worried in the lead up to the weekend or not. Well, I suppose a bit worried because Alvarez's ownership was high, and I kind of thought like they're just going to absolutely batter me this weekend. And even
Mm.
the Spurs game, I kind of fancied Madison and some would get like some returns there, but oh man, it was awful. Well, I had slightly more. I had three returns, four if I count Archer on my bench, who would have been my highest scoring player. Sat there pretty. I did a really boring transfer going into the game week. I sold. Who did I sell, Kieran? I sold a defender. Oh my
A
gosh.
defender.
Can't
Yeah.
even. I sold Botman. That was right because I've had
Okay.
him for ages. And my options were because basically my team value is so bad as you know. I wanted to get like a 3.8 to a 4 million defender to fund
Oh.
some later moves. So my options were Charlie Taylor, Baldock, or Braithwaite at Everton. Opted for Taylor because I looked at Palace's stats, and even though Burnley were bad, Palace hadn't scored more than one away from home all season. So typically
Yeah.
they did it in that game, and Baldock at 3.8 million started and got an assist. So
Yeah.
But anyway, the good news was I decided to play Taylor anyway over Udogi because I thought he might just come off the bench if he was injured. So I would have been really irritated if I'd just got
Yeah. That was a
20,
good decision.
25 points. That would have been
Yeah.
a annoyingly big swing. So yeah, some returns. Gordon was probably a bit of a weird one. Bowen and Anderson. So yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, I had yeah, I've got like massive defensive issues now because obviously Cash got injured.
Mm,
Burn is obviously now injured. Simicast got benched. Gabriel is not starting tonight in the Champions League. So he's clearly going to
yeah.
be an issue just going forward.
So your only like
Obviously, there's
guaranteed
Taylor.
defender was
There's
Taylor.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's and then obviously Haaland coming off injured, who
Oh
has been
gosh.
obviously
Yeah.
cleared now because he played. Madison going off injured, like yeah, just the horror show. I don't think generally ever had a week in FPL where I've had no returns at all.
That's insane.
This might be my lowest score ever. So, but honestly, I think my teams looks
Is it
good.
pretty
I'm not
good?
I'm not worried about it like hugely. It's just obviously the defense is an issue, and yeah, off week for the players at the top. I
Mm.
suppose. Like, what can I do?
Yeah, no, agree. Like it's just yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Well, should we jump into the issues because I've still got loads of flags in my team. Oh, Udogi out
Yeah.
this week. Bell is still a red flag. Madison, and I mean Cash is back in trading now. But do you want to talk about um a little bit about what you're thinking, especially with Burn, who you got rid of last week, and also Newcastle in general, maybe.
Yes, it was revealed that he's going to be out for about 3 to 4 months in Howe's
Hmm.
pre Champions League presser. So yeah, lower back spinal issue as far as I know. So yeah, he was obviously 50% chance to play on the thing, but now he's obviously
Mm.
red flagged. And yeah, he's obviously going to need to be a sell pretty sharpish. Yeah, red flags usually don't go down in price that quickly, so
No.
he might be fine to hold for a little bit, but yeah, just for bench depth around my defense, he's going to need to go pretty soon. So, yeah, Newcastle in general last night didn't look great.
Mm.
Yeah, obviously with Botman now burn out as well. Targets obviously not well either, so he can't come in. So it's Livramento and Hall, I guess. Lascelles is obviously going to keep playing in that back line. People who got him on their wild card with a sort of maybe like 2 to 3 games sort of timeline when Botman was going to come back have lucked out big time, and now seem to have a 4 million starter for like a good team for like 6 plus maybe 9 games or something. Like so obviously he's not, I guess he's not a bad issue to even bring in now. Like Newcastle's defense still looks pretty good. They weren't great last night obviously, but their fixtures and their even like sort of FDR for the coming up to Christmas is still one of the best actually. So I guess we'll see how their sort of defense works out in terms of with Livramento playing, with Hall playing, with Lascelles playing all the time, if they're going to still be as solid as they have been. So yeah, we'll see. But I obviously need to sell Burn. I'm not sure what to do with him. So another thing, obviously Cash went off with a shoulder injury against I can't even remember who it was against now. Should have returned.
Forest, wasn't it?
Yeah, Forest was expecting them to go big in that game.
I know.
Cash doing nothing as usual. So he might be a sell pretty soon. Like their run of sort of good games is coming to a close pretty fast. So Cash, you might want to start thinking about moving on. But he's been pitching to training and he should be fine for this weekend at least.
And what about Udogie? Because I've got him at the moment. He's like red flag this week because of that red card. You were thinking about like you were wishing before that game started that you'd kept him. Do you still even though he's red flag now, do you still feel like he's a good or a better pick long term to have in your team? I'm a bit on the fence about what to do with him really. I'm thinking he's like the more sensible mate weight than any of my other defenders this week.
Yeah, probably. If you really need to be selling him and you can't just hold on to him, I think he'd be a fine hold. Like it's just 2 yellows, and so it's just a 1 game ban, isn't it? So, but then he's going to come back. I think it's for City, is it?
Yeah, I think they've got like one tasty game. Well, fairly, I say tasty. It's Villa at home, so a home fixture, and then it's City away, then it's West Ham, then Newcastle. So it's a bit mixed. I feel like a bit. I've never really had the Udogie love in like you have because he did well at the start of the season. I got him in game week 5, and since then that's like 6 game weeks, and he's got me 1 return against Luton, and probably if I'd played him in all those games, he'd almost be like on a sort of net 0 with that -4. That's what it feels like. So I don't know. He feels like it at the start of the season he was almost template essential, but I've gone off him a little bit, and I think Spurs have. I don't know. He isn't the one to have from their defence, and now with all their injuries as well, maybe Spurs defence isn't the one to back.
Yeah, they're not going to be as good for sure. We don't know how long Van der Ven is out yet, or at least I haven't seen. But yeah, he's definitely gone. Romero is going to be, I think it was a straight red in the end, wasn't it? So
3 games.
3 games. Yeah, 3 games. So yeah, I mean Dyer looked pretty good when he came on, but like. The defense is in shambles. There's going to be one guy that's barely played, and then another centre back who's probably going to be Emerson Royale, I guess. Who's also not a particularly good defender, and obviously not a centre back. So, selling Udogie probably does make sense. Maybe you can keep Porro if you're an owner out there, but it might be time to get rid. Otherwise on my defense, obviously Simicast. Bought him in. Thinking, I know Klopp said that he wouldn't play every single game, but I thought he'd be pretty much good to go for most of the sort of Premier League games. He did play, I think, the Europa game. No, not the Europa, the midweek Carabao Cup, and I thought, okay, he came off a bit early, so I thought, okay, that should be fine for the weekend. Not to be the case, obviously.
I know, and 10% ownership as well. So it's like people have seen that and got on him as well.
Yeah, so maybe that is his rest. He'll play the Europa League midweek and just play the Premier League again. Should be fine. Yeah. Does he play for his national team? I think he's Greek, isn't he? I think he does actually. So he's not going to get a rest over the international break, I suppose. So. I just got to hope he's going to be fine. Wish I never got him at the end because I guess I would have still had Udogie. I would have had the minus points, obviously, but I would have had an obvious sort of transfer out and not have to worry about Simicast. So, yeah, there's issues everywhere in my team. Gabriel has not started tonight, as I said. Gonna be an issue on the team sheet moving forward. Like, I expect most people have pretty similar defenses to me. So, yeah, shall I talk about some of the replacements?
Let's talk about replacements. Yeah, because it's what I've been mulling over as well. Because, like I say, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get an Arsenal defender this week, and
not Gabriel.
Not Gabriel. Well, definitely not Gabriel. But I kind of think a bit like you. There's only maybe like 2 good options in that defense. I don't know if you have a preference. I could get either. I've got enough money to get either.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, Saliba or White are pretty close to each other, I guess. Yeah, both of them seem to be nailed on. Zinchenko, I don't think is really an option. Tommy Asu and Kiwi or Kiwar or however it's pronounced, not really options. So yeah, White at 5.7 million now. He's risen twice, 14% ownership. But stats are okay. 2 big chances, 3 shots, XG of 0.5, 5 key passes. 0 big chances created, but an XA of 0.25. So yeah, it's okay. I guess like 5.2 million, you're saving 0.5. It's probably best to just go there with Saliba, I guess.
Yeah.
Per the sort of FTR, like the 3rd easiest for fixtures overall from game week 12 to 19, with Burnley next, obviously, then Brentford, Wolves at home, Luton away, Aston Villa away, Brighton at home, Liverpool away, and then West Ham at home. So up until Christmas, so that's middling, I suppose.
Yeah.
But the next 4, I guess, are the really good ones for clean sheets. Yeah. Game week 6 to 11, they've been the second best XGC of all the teams, of 5.2, with only conceding 5. So they're about where they should be. I've got an option where I could sort of downgrade a Maddison and bring one of my defenders up to a Saliba and possibly have a double up, but I'm not sure I trust any double ups in defense right now. Even Arsenal's, even City's, like I probably wouldn't go there either. Like, so it's, I don't know. What do you think about doubling up or getting one of those?
I'm really like, especially this season, I've been so against doubling up, especially in defense. I just think when the fact that they both be over. Oh no, they wouldn't. No, sorry, Gabriel's like 4.8. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of money to invest in defense, and it does. Fixtures aren't like that plumb. Like you're right. If you look at Burnley, let's say Burnley, yes. Brentford, no. Wolves, 75% chance, yes. Luton, probably similar away. But then after that, Aston Villa away, no. Brighton at home, unlikely. Liverpool away, no. West Ham at home, maybe 50-50. So I don't know. There's one like stick on clean sheet in the next 8, I'd say, and then maybe 2 bonus ones in there. So yeah, and also I think defensive transfers, like we said last week, there's such a, you don't want to be like having to do defensive transfers every week to target fixtures, because I just don't think the upside's there. I
have to.
Yeah, and I just don't. Yeah,
you've been forced to do it.
I have, and I just don't think the upside is there in any of them, which is, kind of brings me around to the point. But I kind of think Saliba is probably the better option, because minutes. I noticed that White has been taken off earlier in the last 2. Saliba just seems like dead set to start all their big games and will get rested in.
Off early is often a good thing. Like
he's true, I suppose. True.
So, yeah, he's got a clean sheet of that once, obviously against the Sheffield United, which obviously the whole team kept a clean sheet, but in other situations that could easily be a clean sheet when he's gone off early. So
I suppose at the moment, I just between the 2 of them specifically, because I think what I was looking at it, because I think the game against Burnley this weekend is a really good chance of a clean sheet of all the games, and I'm not sure that maybe it is, but the 0.5 at the moment, I haven't seen this to this point in the season that it's worth that much, if that makes sense. He's not really having the attacking numbers are higher, I suppose, but then they're not a lot higher to justify the extra 0.5 spend. And I think when most people are playing a 3-5-2 or 4-4-2, when we're trying to squeeze Haaland and Salah in every 0.1 counts, let alone a 0.5. So
right, so Saliba and just sort of forget about it. I stick him in and don't worry about it.
I mean, spoiler for what I'm planning to do this week, but I'm pretty sure just because Udogie's red flagged and I don't see many clean sheets for Spurs, I think I'm just gonna get Saliba in this week. I've basically been trying to get an Arsenal clean defender in since game week 1 when I had Gabriel. And I just have never had the game week to do it, and man, like Saliba's like one of the highest scoring defenders in the game now. There's perhaps better defenders like Anderson's outscored him so far this season, and I mean I doubt that will continue, but I don't know. I just feel like for this run of fixtures where you could maybe get 2 or 3 clean sheets in the next 8, and who knows, 1 attack in return maybe from a set piece, and Saliba's going to be worth the money basically. And he's a hole, isn't he? He's like a season keeper. He's a position that you don't really need to worry about like for the rest of the season either. Like you were saying with Gabriel, you've been worried every week at the moment, aren't you? Checking the team sheet.
I mean, I'd love to just be able to do Gabriel to Saliba as part of the 2 free transfers, but then I've got Burn and Simicast's issues still, and it's just like, ugh. Like I don't really have the luxury to sell Gabriel as one of them right now. So, but yeah, for you that makes absolute sense.
I'd be interested.
Other options.
I was going to say, I'd just be interested to know if anyone in the chat watching has an Arsenal defender like you or Gabriel, or have got Saliba, and if they're happy or not, because I think it changes the perspective when you own them for a few weeks or not. So yeah, might be interesting.
Fair. Okay, so other options for replacements. As you mentioned, Crystal Palace, Anderson, 5.1 million now. Probably a little bit too expensive in my opinion for buying now, because I imagine his sort of attacking threat and assists and goals or whatever is probably going to start waning off. But Gahey at 4.6 million at 4.5% owned still seems good value. Mitchell at 4.5 million as well, got that goal last week. I think it's his first ever goal, maybe second goal in the Premier League. Only 2% owned. I think he got max bonus, and anyone who owned him for that would have been loving that this week or last week. Joint top for teams with clean sheets at 5, Crystal Palace.
Good,
but 10th for XGC was 16.1 and 13 conceded. So obviously a little bit of overperformance in the clean sheets, but perhaps it's just a solid defense against lower teams. And if they're going into a green fixture on paper, then you know there's obviously a good chance of a clean sheet coming there. So I like that for reliability at least.
How likely are you to get a Palace defender? I mean, the fixtures are pretty good next 4.
Yes, they are. So they're 12th for FDR for overall easiest fixtures from 12 to 19. So that's not great. But from 12 to 16, they're second overall, with obviously Everton, Luton, West Ham, Bournemouth, and then Liverpool. Everton, Luton, West Ham could be a clean sheet. Who knows? Bournemouth as well. Those 4 really good. So I feel like it's probably get them now or just don't bother. For me, maybe is a thing I'm looking at. I don't know. I don't know if I trust them. It's not particularly a sexy move at all. So I don't know. Maybe, basically.
I don't think there's like we said, there isn't like loads of upside with some of them. I mean, Gahey might get like a clean sheet, an additional bonus point. Mitchell maybe, like you say, but they're not like a crazy attacking team anyway.
No.
So I think his I don't know how sustainable his returns are. I mean, Mitchell's only got 2 attacking returns all season. I think Anderson's maybe got 3. He got 2 goals and 1 assist. I don't. Maybe is he really going to keep that up over the rest? What, like 20 odd games?
I think.
Maybe?
Yeah, I think Gahey is an option just for there's him and Anderson have got set piece threat.
True.
So whereas Mitchell, I think he was just a bit lucky for the goal really. So, but Gahey and Anderson, I think you've got a chance of something most weeks for the corner. So Eze is obviously coming back too. So on set pieces, their set 3 threat should improve as well. So
absolutely.
Another option, Dunk at Brighton, 5 million, 4.3% owned. Still obviously 0 clean sheets across season, which isn't great, but their fixtures are good right now. So they got Sheffield United at home this weekend, which is obviously a banker fixture. Nottingham Forest away after that. Then they got Chelsea, but then they got Brentford at home and Burnley at home in the next 5. So he had an XG of 1.29 recently.
Wow.
The second closest is 0.8, and he's had 7 shots, which is joint second of all defenders, and 1 big chance. So long term 12 to 19. Dunk I think is a good option. And then Estepinian now, we did mention him last week. I haven't really got any notes on him this week, but he has been told that he's probably going to get some minutes against Ajax tomorrow in the Europa League. So if he does, that's probably a good, and everything sort of works out fine, then that's a good sign that he could be starting in Premier League against Sheffield United at home, and obviously Estepinian has a bit of a differential. Sounds pretty good to me. So I would certainly be looking there if he is okay after Ajax tomorrow. So yeah, he's an option for sure.
I've just had a look at like Brighton's long-term fixtures as well. I know we were talking about how good they were up until Christmas, but man, actually, like this isn't a big wide view, but up until game week, they've got all of their like, let's say, tough games against top 6, top 8 oppositions almost crammed into the last 8 game weeks, basically up until middle of March, which is game week 28. So this is future planning. They only play away at Chelsea, Arsenal, and Spurs in that time. And they've just got Spurs at home. I mean, the rest of the teams are the ones in the bottom half. Yeah, that's pretty good for them. They don't have any like scary back-to-back fixtures, and they're well separated. So, yeah, it might be. I mean, like you say, their defense has been a bit poop so far this season, but yeah,
Lamptey's supposed to still be out as well. So, but they definitely can keep clean sheets against crappy opposition, and they have had a tough start to the season. So they're going to come. Like they're obviously still a good team and capable of clean sheets.
Yeah.
And Estepinian is obviously so attacking. So, him, like Dunk.
Is he back? So he should be back this weekend, do you think, then? Sorry.
Yeah, like I said, if he gets minutes or some minutes versus Ajax and then sort of like comes through it just fine, then I expect he'll just start the Premier League game because Lamptey's still out and they're probably waiting for him to come out ready to go, really.
Yeah, no, I think it could be nice. I mean, he was such a diamond at the start of the season. Like his returns were off the charts, so there's no reason to think like against the lesser teams, he could get back to that sort of form. So like it. All right.
Yeah, and then just quickly, finally, long term. Game is 12 to 19. Newcastle actually have the top for easiest overall fixtures still, which is I don't know how that's happening, but they do. So I've got get Trippier because obviously neither of us have him with loads of question marks. Kind of difficult for me to get him, and you probably, but anyone who's got him, anyone who can get him, probably still quite good. Lascelles, as we mentioned, 4 million, still seems to be quite good. Shah is obviously nailed on at 5.2 million, and then there's the question mark over Livramento, who played out of position right wing yesterday in the Champions League. He's 4.3 million. Hall played left back but came off early, so it's kind of like who's actually going to play the left back position out of those two. Livramento could play the right back. Trippier could go to left back, which would probably hurt Trippier's output, but yeah, there's an option of like a 4.3 attacking fullback there in possibly Hall or Livramento too. So it's just nailing down which one is going to be the starter, I guess.
No, I agree. I still think the Newcastle defense is good, and like I said to you the other day, I don't really know why I didn't spend more time like really considering Lascelles instead of, let's say, Taylor. I just kind of thought Botman's going to be back soon. Maybe he's not a long-term pick, and I thought they'd concede against Arsenal, and I thought the only clean sheet game was going to be Bournemouth. They got Chelsea and Man United. So I think maybe I'm looking at it thinking with recency, thinking, I wasn't expecting them to get that clean sheet at the weekend, really.
No.
But Trippier's still on my radar. I think now to afford a Trippier for many people that haven't got, I say many people that haven't got him, I mean, blimey, that's like half the game own him now. So we're only just in the majority. I think he's like 49%. But I feel like I'm going to have to downgrade a Bowen to maybe a Palmer and then a defender. It's going to have to be, because Trippier's 7, you're going to have to get rid of a 6.5 to a 7 million mid. And then,
we missed the boat.
Yeah, I think we might have missed the boat. But fair play to anyone that had him.
I mean, if they keep these clean sheets up with all their injuries, then good on them, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
good for them. Do you want to move on to?
Let's talk a little bit about fixtures. I'll just talk about Arsenal briefly because we already touched on their defenders, and a question for you, I suppose, as well, because you've got defensive things to worry about, but Arsenal's fixtures, like we talked about from a defensive point of view, are good. They're also good from an attacking point of view. I just think over the last 6 game weeks, Arsenal scored the second highest amount of goals in the league, despite playing Chelsea, City, and Newcastle in that time. I think they've shown to me this season, especially, that they can, and they did it a bit at the end of last season, but they can put teams to the sword when they want to. 5-0 to Sheffield United, 4-0 to Bournemouth, sort of in the last 6 game weeks. I kind of expect them to do a similar sort of score scoreline to Burnley really, and maybe Wolves when they welcome them at home, and they're good away from home as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they, unlike Liverpool, managed to unlock Luton. So I kind of feel there's a couple of big scorelines on the horizon for Arsenal, and I wanted to see if there's a point really to think, right, that maybe the defence isn't worth investing in. Maybe I should be on double Arsenal attack. Obviously, I've already got Saka, who could offer some good value. So I was having a look at their numbers per 90 minutes of the Arsenal attackers in the last 6. So a couple of different metrics really, but shots in the box, Nketiah is leading the way with over 2 per 90 minutes, which is quite a big number really. If you consider the next most is Martinelli with 1, and Saka down at like 0.75. So the fact that Nketiah is nearly sort of like 3 times shots in the box the rate Saka's doing, that I was quite surprised to see that. And Saka really put that into perspective. Rice is managing 0.6 shots per 90 over the last 6 games. So
I thought that said 6 shots in the box. I was going to like, Jesus.
Yeah, no, just Saka seems to have dropped off from a shooting in the box point of view over the last 6 game weeks, and maybe it's because the games have been a bit more difficult. City, Chelsea, Newcastle are not going to be the games he racks up the numbers, but you kind of expect in the meantime, when they played Bournemouth and Sheffield United, he would have really boosted those. So for me, that's a little bit of a worry, because I've chosen him in my team over Son. Looking at the non-penalty XG, Saka surprisingly leads the way there, 0.3 non-pen XG, and Nketiah 0.17 over the last 6. And Saka leads the way on expected assists in that time. So it's kind of a mixed bag for our Arsenal attackers. I don't really see the value in a Martinelli or an Odegaard at the moment. But
yeah, Odegaard's still out, I think.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Oh. Yeah. But Nketiah is, quite a good option. I think
he's out injured as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's out tonight. He picked up a knock at the weekend. He's out of tonight's Champions League game, and he's apparently a doubt for the weekend.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah.
Oh, so maybe it is going to be playing Saka and Martinelli are going to be the main 2 then.
Yeah, so their front 3 tonight is supposed to be Saka, Martinelli, and Trossard through the middle. So, I guess it'll be interesting to see how they perform. I guess Saka's drop off in stats has left me thinking maybe he's not essential. I think I saw on Twitter that in the last 5 games against Burnley, he's not had a goal or assist. So obviously that's ancient history and stuff, and that can Burnley at the moment look pretty bad. But Saka's not been hugely involved in anything right now. So I don't know.
No, and I think as well from I was going to ask you if you're worried about not owning him, but I think the fact that he hasn't delivered big hauls in the easy games against Sheffield United and Bournemouth sort of nullifies his pick as a captaincy option as well. And even though he's a good mid price, I don't really see a haul from him in this game. He only got 6 points against Sheffield United. He got 9 against Bournemouth. Just a single return in each game. You kind of thinking that at his price point and the most expensive one in that Arsenal midfield and forward line, he should be delivering a better return really.
If I could do Burn to Lascelles and Maddison to Saka, I would straight just do that with 2 free transfers. No problems, no questions asked. But I can't afford Lascelles. I would have to get a Bulldog to be able to do that.
Oh
transfer.
Really? Is he a tiny bit out?
Yeah. I would like him. I think Martinelli probably could be okay. He should be nailed on with the sort of injuries right now with Odegaard and Nketiah being a bit of an issue as well. So he should definitely be playing all the minutes. So but I don't know. I don't know if Maddison is strictly a sell, but then
is he?
Maybe he is.
We haven't heard if he's definitely out, have we?
No, we haven't heard anything yet.
I've the last I sort of heard was he was looking good to be back at the weekend.
I think he'll probably be fit. Yeah.
So I'm quite happy to hold him even if he's benched in one game. But no, it's interesting. I feel like a couple weeks ago, heading into this run, Saka, especially before the Sheffield United game, there was a bit of a mad scramble with, are you going to have Saka or are you going to back Son for this fixture run? And I think the fact that he didn't explode in that game and then he was quiet against Newcastle, as made me think he's, I don't know, not.
If he has a big game tonight, then I'm sure I'll be pretty desperate to get him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think but Burnley aren't going to do anything at the other end. Like I said earlier, they're away from home. They've got the second worst record of big chances in the league this season, managed just 1 per game, and the fewest shots in the box too. So, kind of think an Arsenal defender is imperative this week. If I'm going to get one, it makes sense to get them for this game week.
Yeah, it almost looks like a very obvious clean sheet, but then I don't know. I just sort of think Burnley are just going to score.
Score one.
I don't know why. Like, I think they're definitely scoring.
Maybe it's Libra and goal.
Yeah.
All right. Is it? I think probably that's all I had to chat about on the Arsenal game. I don't know if you want to chat about the Wolves and Spurs game?
Yeah, we can talk about Madison.
Okay.
Obviously, the Wolves and Tottenham game. Should be a pretty big game after obviously that Chelsea game that just happened with the 5 goals scored, 5 goals disallowed, and 2 red cards, etc. Like, what a crazy game that was. So for Spurs, obviously Udogie and your Romero banned, the Van de Ven hamstring injury, so the defense is going to be all over the place for this one. So latest we got was on Madison was he's got a knock on the ankle. We were down 1 man already. It made sense to make a couple of changes at that point. So sounds like it's not going to be serious. Should be fit. They were pretty damn good in the first 15 minutes.
Were they? Okay.
They looked like they could smash Chelsea. Like they were the 1-0 up, could have gone to 2-0 with Son's disallowed goal. Like they looked like they were going to go for strength to strength in that game. And then obviously everything unraveled. But yeah, I would imagine Madison will be fit and looked fine in that game. Son had obviously a very, very good chance for his sort of finishing ability when he was like sort of through, and it was going to be for a late leveler at 2-2. I thought he was going to put that away, and I was going to be screaming for some points. But yeah, 0.1 XG in that game, only 2 shots, probably a product of like just what happened with the 2 red cards. Like he didn't really have a chance to do much. So they had a 4.0 XGC against Chelsea. Vicario made a ton of good saves, so he looks like a great keeper for them. So it was obviously open due to their willingness to keep pressing from the top. They kept doing it even with 9 men, and they hold a defensive line like just by the halfway line, so they were always going to concede big XG with all the players coming through. Their game week 6 to 10 XGC was 5.9, so you can see that like 4.0 against just Chelsea. Like they were having a good defense with obviously Romero and VDV. The numbers obviously been skewed. So I expect them probably to concede. I think Wolves have looked okay. Like Wolves team, like XG wise, they've had 53 shots, which is 17th, but they've created 10 big chances, which is okay. The XG average with Neto before Neto got injured was 1.35, and an XG average without Neto is 1.32. So nothing's really changed. So that's a good thing, obviously. Obviously a small sample size because they've only had a couple of games without him. But the form of Hwang and Cunha is obviously helping them out a bit. Hwang, 5.5 million, 5% owned, 54 points. So he's been really, really good value this year. He's had 1, 5, 1, 6, 6, 1, 8, 10, 4, 7, and 5. And he's not actually blanked at home all season. He's at 5, 6, 8, 10, and 7, which is really good for someone who's 5.5 million. And then obviously a Wolves team that we've generally come to think are not good at scoring. And I think I mentioned in one of the other shows that they've only failed to score in 1 game this season, which was game week 1. So with Spurs defense in shambles and confidence probably going to be pretty low after that, I would imagine, especially defensively. Like Hwang owners should be pretty confident of another return. I wouldn't say he's one you should definitely be bringing in, but he's obviously good value. He's in that Gordon sort of bracket as a different sort of option.
I bet his ownership's tiny as well, 5%.
Yeah, 5%.
Yeah, that's bad.
He's had 10 shots from game week 7 to 11. He's had 10 shots. 5 big chances, really high, an XG of 1.86, 10 key passes, 2 big chances created, XA of 0.83. So he's looking good on both sides of the ball of goals and sort of assist potential. Yeah, he's not a bad option. I think Wolves score in this game. So there's going to be clean sheet points taken away from Maddison and Son, obviously, as well. So, I'm leaning towards maybe selling Maddison, unfortunately. I mean, I don't really want to, but...
Is this just to fund other things that you're thinking of downgrading?
It is just because of my defense, because I'm just like so worried about. And then obviously maybe I want to get Saka, and maybe I do that Bulldog move, and yeah, Madison down to Kudus. I really like the look of Kudus at the moment. Yeah,
You
he's
love
like,
Kudus, don't
I
you?
do love Kudus. Yeah, he's not. I think he's like 0.7% owned or something like that. Or
That's teeny
yeah,
tiny, and their fixtures are
exactly,
super good.
exactly. So I feel like he's a great option if you want to go down from Madison. Yeah.
Yeah, blimey. We'll talk more about Kudus in a minute because he is like your darling, really, isn't he? What score do you think you're predicting for that game? I think it's a hard one to call because I kind of had Spurs to batter Chelsea the other night. Well, not batter them, but like at least two to 3 goals.
I don't know what kind of Spurs we're going to get out of that after that game. I think their defense is going to be pretty bad, I think. But then Wolves, I think it's probably like maybe a 2-1 Spurs.
Okay.
But then Wolves' defense has been okay-ish. Like where have I got? I think I've got it up here somewhere. The XGC has been from game week 7 to 11. XGC of 6.4 with 7 conceded, 72 shots conceded, which is 14th, and 10 big chances conceded, which is kind of mid-table. So yeah, the defense hasn't been too bad. I don't know, really.
Yeah, I can't.
2-1 Spurs sounds about right.
I think Spurs will probably just about. It's the early kickoff though, isn't it? I think Spurs will just about scrape it, but not sure. Not sure.
Yeah, hard one to call, honestly.
All right, let's talk about another game of the weekend. I'll just touch on Chelsea against Man City. I think this one's probably under the lens a little bit more than, well, not usual, just because it's a big game, but just because Haaland captaincy is rearing its head again at what would typically be a tougher away game. But having a look at Chelsea, they're like actually really appalling at home. So their expected goals conceded per game. The expected
record
goals
at home
conceded
is terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, the record at home is terrible, but then the numbers suggest they're not that bad. But yeah, the last 3 games they've lost at Stamford Bridge to Brentford, Aston Villa and Forest, all without scoring. They haven't scored at home at Stamford Bridge since the 25th of August, which is when they played Luton. So I just feel like
we all got duped by them.
I know. Everyone got, Sterling performed and Jackson just got that well, not lucky tapping, but he got that not small return right at the end. But I was just so surprised when I was having a look. Like, I appreciated they weren't doing their best at home, but I didn't realise they'd not scored back to back to back at home. That's quite shocking, really. So yeah, the numbers make them seem better than they are. Like at home, they've just only expected goals conceded, so that's 1.1 per game over the course of this season. That's the 7th best. So they're vaguely tight at the back, but they've just been opened up. I wonder if it's a confidence thing that they're getting comprehensively beaten by teams that aren't as good, which makes me think City rolling up here at the weekend really have got nothing to fear. And I think on paper it seems like a tricky game, but really I think City could treat them a bit like they did to United a couple of weeks ago and really put a few goals past them. So away from home, City, probably not a surprise, but 2.47 XG per game. That's the highest in the league so far this season. They're creating 4.1, so on average, that is big chances per game. Again, that's the highest, almost by like a big chance and a half. And you love a big chance, and that's 4 in one game. It was very good. They're good numbers. Interestingly, though, City have had lost 2 of their last 3 away games. That was when Rodri was banned. So I kind of think that they're back at it now with after that demolition of United the week before. So yeah, on paper, I think this looks like a close game, but I think in reality, City could easily score 2 or 3 goals. And I'm quite set on Haaland captaincy this weekend. But I'm just fingers crossed they don't have the same sort of blankety-blank attitude they did when they played Arsenal a couple of weeks ago.
I think if Stones was fit, I'd be 100% nailed on Haaland captain.
Really? It makes that much difference? Johnny Stones?
Well, yeah, just like he came off injured in the Champions League, and they just, when him and Rodri in that midfield, like they look so good, and they just look like they'll steamroll teams, which they did against obviously young boys.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth, was it, at the weekend? Yeah. So yeah, with him out, I think if Kovacic and Rodri, I think Kovacic just seems to sort of break down their attacks when they're around the sort of box. His like sort of final ball and final touch doesn't seem to be quite where it should be.
Yeah.
For linking up at least. So it's a hard one to call again. I think City should win it, but then it's not obvious that it's a definite clear
win,
captaincy shout sort of thing. Salah, Brentford at home seems pretty good, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so you at the moment you're leaning. We'll get into captain. Well, we'll jump onto captaincy now, I suppose. But are you leaning towards Salah over Haaland?
Well, no, not really. I haven't really thought about it yet, to be honest.
Well, I broke down like the very
It's one of those situations that we've talked about before, where you have the option to captain someone else.
I know, and I feel like the last time I tried to do that with, I suppose it's worked out once this season when we went Salah against Brighton and Haaland blanked, and then the second time when we did the same thing, we both captained Salah, and then Haaland played Man United, and it flipped the other way. So 50% success rate there. But looking at so I looked at sort of like the big hitters essentially, and their average points and their expected points, either away or at home, and then rank the teams they're playing this weekend. So I'll try and make this as succinct as possible. But on average, Haaland's away points have been 7.1. Salah's at home have been 9.4. Son away 8.6. Saka at home 8.2. So looking at those four, Haaland's
the worst.
Haaland's the worst, away from home, which was a bit of a surprise, really. But the expected points, he's actually the highest. So it makes me think he's just not, like we've seen in quite a lot of games, he's not converting a lot of his chances. So his expected points, so that's goals and assists, he should be getting. Expected points, he's at 8.1. Salah's 8.3. Saka next up at 6.3 and Son at 5.6. So Son is quite a lot different from his actual. It's like 3 difference there. So a little bit of food for thought that Haaland is underperforming and the worst. So it's like, do you back the fact that he's going to come up to his level, or is he going to continue underperforming? So I think that's the main question. Salah at home does look probably to me the best fixture on paper. But Haaland and City's numbers can't be argued with. And looking at the teams they all play, so I've ranked them by expected goals conceded across the last 4 game weeks to try and give a fair reflection of that. So Wolves are actually the worst for expected goals conceded over the last 4. That's 3.8. Then it's Chelsea, 3.2. Then Brentford, matching them at 3.2. And then Burnley, surprisingly, 2.9. So I think the numbers point, I think, for me towards Haaland. But I just get scared by the big fixture.
We expect Haaland or Chelsea to attack, right? We think like City are going to have sort of space.
I don't think they're going to sit back. I mean, they've probably got the players to do it. They'll probably play Gallagher, Caicedo, and Enzo, won't they? In a midfield 3, and they might effectively play a back 5. Don't know who plays instead of maybe Cucurella plays and James plays, and then maybe play 2 up front and try and counter. Palmer probably plays up front with Sterling, maybe.
Jackson will probably play after his hat-trick.
Maybe. So no, I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted. I mean, the armband has been on Haaland since the game loaded up for this game week.
Yeah,
but
same. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we should we just show our teams?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've got like Alvarez as well. So I'm obviously backing.
I'll bring your team up
City to do well. So yeah, I like that. I don't know if I definitely want to double dip on the captaincy there as well. So, but yeah,
that's a good point for you actually. There's quite a lot of eggs in basket.
Brentford obviously were pretty open against West Ham. They're a team that don't really sit back against teams they fancy their attack to do well as well. So Salah is going to have chances to be open. Counterattacks seem to be a possibility for sure against Brentford. So yeah, I think Salah is certainly the vice captain. Watkins, what do you think of Watkins?
I hadn't really considered him, to be honest. I think Fulham
at home.
I think Fulham are deceptively good.
Really?
Yeah, like they don't get. Did they get beaten well? I'm just gonna have to have a look now. I haven't looked at their numbers, to be honest, but I've got this thing in my head that they don't lose easily. Was it 1-1 against Brighton? You'd probably expect them to win. Expect them to lose. They lost 2-0 away at Spurs. Fair enough. Lost 2-0 at Chelsea. Lost 5-1 at City. Maybe then. Lost. Don't know. I don't think Villa as a team give me as much attacking
they've
confidence.
They've been a bit flaky lately.
Yeah.
Especially Watkins has been. So
he's blanked in 2, isn't he? So that makes probably not for me, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Haaland, Salah, or a Son, I guess. Are the 3 best options.
And then Sun's Sun's the early kickoff. So that like
or Kudus.
Oh,
no, yes, Sun probably is ruled out because of that. I wouldn't want to go there. I don't think. But,
well, now that we're talking about now that we've got the team up, do you want to talk about your main plans and even mention Kudus as an option, maybe? Is that what I'm hearing?
I've been considering Madison to a Kudus and then maybe like a Burn to like a White. But then I probably don't want the double up. So Burn to an Estepinian would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
I would like that because Cash should be fit. Estepinian versus Sheffield United. Cash at home to Fulham. Gabriel, assuming he plays, get home to Burnley. Simicast first bench. That seems fine.
That seems fine, yeah. I agree.
With Kudus as a 0.7% differential. Who are they even playing again?
They've got someone at home, maybe like Forest, maybe?
Yeah, Forest at home. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And he's obviously confident and got a bit of form showing. So, I quite like that. I'd be ashamed to lose Maddison. But, Maddison is the make weight to get like a Saka. If he looks good tonight, a Saka in for like Burn, and I'd have to get a Bulldog. So it'd be a bench of like Bulldog, Taylor, Nakamba, and then Simicast I've still got in my team. He's a worry. And, but that's probably okay. So most of them are going to get bench minutes. And I could, like Simicast probably will start most games. But it would be an issue going towards Christmas, I would imagine. So I could do that.
I like the Kudus pick. I like that you're in on West Ham. I kind of think Kudus makes Bowen better as well. So, I'm all for that. But, I think, like we've said, West Ham have got the fixtures to target. Like, they're good up until Christmas now. So, why not get on board with that now ahead of this? Well, I don't think Forest is going to be like an easy win for them, but I do think they will win. So, why not get on board with...
we have mentioned, or at least I have, that I don't think they're going to be great against teams that sort of sit back. I don't think Forest will completely. I think Forest will sort of target West Ham as a game that they can try and go and win. Yeah. And they've just got a big win against
Villa.
Who was it? Villa. Yeah. So, they're obviously going to be feeling confident. And, I don't think they're strictly a team that's just going to sit back now because they've got a decent enough attack.
No,
when he's back fit and, everyone else is looking decent. So, I think that probably should be an open enough game. Yeah,
no, I kind of agree, and I'd be happy for you to join me on the West Ham power train.
Yeah, it would be annoying to just get on the Kudus bus and it just still all the goals are Bowen's or something. That would be really annoying. But I probably could afford Bowen, but I just like Kudus more just because he's the new flavour.
New flavour, yeah. Bowen could have hauled at the weekend. I know he got one goal already, but do you see that Antonio fluffing up that chance with Benrahma for an assist in the first half, running into him.
Yeah. Well, the second one, the Bowen's actual goal, that Kudus probably should have finished that. So it could have been 2 goals for Kudus, and Bowen maybe would have ended up blanking. So that would have been interesting.
Yeah, Kudus scored such a nice goal as well against
Arsenal so nice
last week in the Carabao Cup, was it?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Let's show my team off. I think my team's quite straightforward this week. So I've got Areola, Anderson, Cash, 3 nice home fixtures there. Udogi's pretty much going to come out for Saliba, quite set on that. And then the midfield probably picking itself. I'm quite happy with Bowen against Forest already in place and Gordon away against Bournemouth. He seems like their only attacker at the moment. Yeah, so I expect Newcastle
to win. Make him worse, though, to be honest.
It could make it. I mean, I was having a look at his numbers when he played through the middle against Man United and he was pretty bad. But, Bournemouth are slightly worse than Man United, slightly. So,
and you're going to be happy with keeping Maddison, I suppose.
Yeah, going to keep Maddison just so I've got the Tottenham coverage there. And even though, like we said, I'm not sold on Saka being a huge returner this week, I still think he's probably going to tick along. So, so I think the team looks quite balanced at the minute. If Bell can come back to fitness.
Our teams are looking quite different, really.
Yeah.
You've got Gordon, Saka, and Maddison, and then I've got Son and possibly Kudus, and
I've
interesting.
Got Anderson
and Alvarez and stuff.
Saliba. Yeah. We probably haven't got many players the same.
Yeah. No.
And you're going to get rid of Maddison there. Maybe 3 makes a change, doesn't it? That's probably why I'm doing so bad. Right. So
surprisingly, with my score last week, I only went down by 150k from 160k to 300.
Really?
1K. So yeah, it wasn't that bad, surprising.
What it made me think, which is probably like awful, but teams that got like, let's say 50 plus, maybe, I know the average was 30, but like 50 plus and did a lot, have probably like gotten not a template team. So my crumb of comfort was that the players that have been performing well this season just had a blip, and the ones that are not template and not been doing very well, jumped up. So, if you're still happy with the team, I kind of think you're going to jump back up again this game week. We'll see. My differential's got to be Gordon. Gordon and Bowen this weekend have got to do bits for me. I don't even know how highly owned Bowen is. People don't trust him. 22%.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
He's getting up there now, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there any more you want to mention, or Ripley wrap up?
Yeah. What did I have here? No, not really. Well, obviously Doku. I guess we should mention him. Who smashed it, outscored my whole team by 5 points.
That's bad.
Didn't play in the Champions League, or he came off the bench. So I imagine he's going to start this game.
Yeah, and he's looked
against Chelsea.
He's looked
and
unstoppable.
He could certainly be someone who's going to like unlock that sort of team, who's going to break them down and sort of take on a player and whip in a cross for Haaland in the centre. I'm pretty confident if he plays, actually.
Boosts Haaland's appeal for sure.
Obviously, Grealish and Haaland have a pretty good understanding too.
They do. No, all right. Well, if the game deadline was at 6 o'clock in 1 minute's time, where would your armband be? Still on?
Yeah, probably still on Haaland.
Still on Haaland. Yeah, I think me too. All right, should we Ripley wrap up there?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for the questions and the comments in the chat. It's nice to see everyone in there, and we'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have more returns, won't we?
Yeah. Can't believe there's another international break.
Oh God, I know. I'm sick of them at the start of the season. But anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah.